against CJ, honestly. It's really been their key pickup because when MadLife has that, we talked about MadLife's kill contribution, when he is able to dive the turrets and shot call very aggressively with the Alistar post 6, that's where CJ has actually been performing well. You take that away and they no longer have the playmaking capability to kind of revolve their strategies around MadLife.
Standard bans Gangplank and Lulu. See if they're gonna ban out the Elise maybe or Nidalee. You know, Chaser is very comfortable on that champion.
Yeah, I think Nidalee is certainly a strong ban whenever you face Chaser. Bubbling, probably not going to throw any bans at him because he hasn't been too spectacular this season. CJ, interesting to see what they're going to be lining up here in terms of a first pick with a Kalista ban and an Alistar ban already down. We could see a Corki. Wow, Thresh, 2 support bans.
Yeah, very targeting MadLife very hard. I feel like it'd be good to take away the Nidalee pick away from Chaser, but you're opting to go with that Corki flex pick, both mid and ADC, so.
Indeed. Corki just such a strong pick right now. But we could see the Nidalee come through right now. I have a feeling, Justin, we're going to see some Trundle here from Longzhu. Bard would be MadLife's third string support.
He also does play Trundle also. Also plays also.
Yep. So now you're getting the caster problems of accidentally repeating yourself. That's actually a big issue. Yeah, we all have, of course.
Second time casting.
It's all right. You're doing great, Justin.
Super hard.
Poppy and Lucian, the locks. So we will see perhaps an expression Poppy. Been a pick that he's done pretty well on this season. And Lucian for Captain Jack. That really has been his go-to. And Expression and Jack have been surprisingly lane dominant. Both of them are actually in the top 5 players in the league in terms of CS lead at 10 minutes. So they've been actually dominating the laning phase, getting a nice farm edge very early on in the game. And champions like Lucian will do that for you.
Elise and Bard getting picked out here. Bard, as you mentioned, MadLife, one of stronger champions. And Bubbling shows a lot of proficiency in Elise, but haven't really seen him play anything other than that.
Yes, yeah, it's been his Elise has been really the story of the season for Bubbling, and even though he has that repel, he does get caught out at times, make poor pressure decisions. The Bard now, the choice for MadLife, so not going after the Trundle, just defaulting immediately back to his standard pick.
Kogo trying to show his mid lane, I guess, in this case.
What Longzhu is doing is they're really just taking away all the picks from CJ. Sky has not really shown much skill on anything outside of Victor. His TF was kind of a disaster in the last game, so you're not going to be too afraid of a counter pick from him.
He also does play Lux a lot.
Yeah. So the Victor going for the wave clear, and as you said, Justin, Nidalee here for Chaser.
Yeah, a lot of power picks for Longzhu. All of these picks are comfort picks.
Well, when you ban out Alistar and Thresh, you tend to open up a lot of the power picks. And with an early Bard, too. See, CJ didn't want to actually show their hand too early on the blue side, but that results in them taking an early Bard pick that is not the strongest support in the current meta.
I'm trying to see if this Poppy goes jungle or top lane, maybe not trying to show that jungler right now, so.
Support too, we really don't know what they're doing. We can see Trundle top, Poppy support, and some other jungler. There's a lot of flexibility for Longzhu Gaming. Thinking about Nautilus, I really hope it's not another Nautilus top, Justin.
A lot of these top laners that have to have small champion pool opting for this Nautilus pick, but
I just rather see him play Maokai because even though Maokai is a bit of a fringe pick in the current meta, I still think Untar as a player is pretty decent at it. And the Twisted Fate might be the default pick again for Sky. He tried this last week, but it really wasn't impressive. All right, it's gonna happen. We're going to see a top lane Nautilus. We saw it in our first series. We've only seen it thus far out of Hippo from the Empire, so Antara taking it. They've got good engage and lockdown. If you depth charge into a Tempered Fate, you can actually get some nice CC going, but that's going to be pretty hard to time properly.
Yeah, Nautilus is not a bad pick in general if you're picking TF mid, because you need a hard CC in the top or the bot side. Bard, I don't know how it's going to be synergize with this TF at this point, but Nidalee coming in here for Chaser probably.
I don't see why you would take anything else at the moment. Your Chaser. Why not just go with your best pick? And like you said, the top lane Nautilus able to set up the crowd control here for the Twisted Fate in the lane. So he might be able to get some ganks up there, but still relatively low damage. And Poppy going to be pretty tanky. So at the end, because of the Poppy pick, we might not have seen the Maokai as a result of Poppy 2 stopping the Twisted advance.
That is true.
That might actually be the major factor that caused the switch here. And so Nidalee is going to be locked in. Pretty good wave clear here from Longzhu. Lots of power picks. They'll be well set up to team fight and to force poke. They've got Nidalee, Lucian, and Victor with a Trundle Pillar, so excellent siege.
And Poppy ult.
Yeah, Poppy ult too.
Good disengage and poke.
Yeah, very nice power from the Longzhu lineup. CJ, they have a relatively low damage composition in the late game. Very reliant on Twisted Fate and Corki as your main damage dealers. Those are not words you typically want to hear.
Yeah, a lot of focus on the early game with the Elise and TF. Want to see how TF utilizes his ult after 6, but if that doesn't go CJ's way, I don't know how they're going to climb out of it if they fall behind.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. They need to make the plays in the early game, and that's not a comfortable position for them to be in, really, considering that they are number 10 in the league at gold differential at 15 minutes at negative 1,500.
That's pretty big.
So trying to play an early game composition when you consistently get early game deficits is a very big risk for the CJ Entus team. We will see if it pays off as they fight against Longzhu in Game 1. Welcome to Game 1, CJ Entus versus Longzhu Gaming.
Yeah, so Sky picking up the Ghost instead of TP or Ignite or Heal, so he's trying to roam as much as possible with that, and it has great escapability as well. So
I'm just not sure I agree with that. I mean, they don't with the Nautilus, they don't have any split pushing threat to deal with the Poppy. And it does double down on some of the ganks. However, against a Victor, it can be difficult to even get out of lane because of how hard Victor can push you into your own turret. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, against Victor, TP would have been, I feel like, a better case. Just trying to match that lane clear, but let's see what Sky does here.
Well, if it's anything like his previous Twisted Fate games, Justin, the answer is probably not much. He's really struggled.
Hey, let's give him a benefit of the doubt. You know, the game has started.
Nope, I'm going to go from experience. Sorry, I'm going to shut you right down there. I like to speak from experience, and yeah. Well, you'll be his cheerleader, okay, Justin? A little bit of damage.
One trade.
Tiny trade. Well, this guy looking to redeem himself on a pick that he has yet to really, truly make work this season. And now he's going up against one of the best mid laners in Korea.
Coco's Revenge.
CJ Entus, Coco's Revenge. That sounds like a kind of cereal that I really don't want to eat.
Captain Jack also has great games against CJ. Believe it or not, every time he plays against CJ, he's on a different level.
He gets really mad, what can I say?
Funny thing is, the guy that made him mad on the team is now on the same team as him, so I don't know if that anger is necessarily...
It's a Captain Jack motivator to have Flame on the team with him. We've only seen a couple games of Flame this season so far. And Expression has definitely looked a lot stronger right off the bat. Good poke here. Great job from Mad Life. And the Bard is one of his better champions. And early on, Bard can really hurt, especially they hit level 2 first. And if you take that Thunderlords onto Bard, you can chunk people very, very hard in the early game.
Yeah, a lot of people like to sometimes take W first, but Bard is actually really strong level 1 and 2 when he gets that Q up. Has a lot of kill pressure with that Ignite.
Yeah, especially the hard CC combined with Sky's TF. They may be able to stitch together a play here on the bottom side once that level 6 happens. So, looks like Captain Jack and Puro stabilized for the moment, but losing those early trades hurts. The biscuit already gone from Jack. One still up here for Kramer.
Tar actually winning the trade a little bit.
Yeah, 2 corrupting potions, interestingly enough. Tara very intentionally picking his top Nautilus, expecting the Poppy. And Poppy will have basically no kill pressure against this Nautilus in the late game. We actually saw that exactly in our last series. A little bit of action going on here. Bubbling coming for a 4-minute gank. Not going to land the Cosmic Binding and not going to land the Cocoon either. Quick dash from Captain Jack. Yeah, we saw this in the last game, the Nautilus versus Poppy, and it really did make it quite difficult for Someday to split push, because at a certain point, Atara just gets so tanky, and Poppy is not the highest damage split pusher.
Oh no, and when he knocks him away, he can just hook back and try to counter that too.
There's not that same dash that we would see on the Maokai for Poppy to shut down either.
Bubbling putting a lot of emphasis on the bot lane, the story of CJ this entire season actually.
Yes, indeed. Bubbling is seen in a ward, however. Looped back around. Trying to threaten, but with all those summoners up and Pure with the pillar disengaged, they're really just trying to bait this out. They want to keep Elise here as long as they can. There you go. Showing that they know exactly. Bubbling is actually stuck in the wall right now. Well, nice little delay and cute mind games there from Longzhu's duo lane. They wasted a lot of Bubbling's time while Chaser cleans up the Scuttle Crab. They're going to meet head-to-head in the jungle. No one actually wants that engagement, though. Just playing some ward games there, clearing out.
Yeah, and then Bubbling missing out his power spike level 4 release is actually very strong, but has not been able to do anything at this point in the game. Sky's about to hit 6 after he comes back, so let's see what happens with the Fatal.
Yep, that's going to be a point to watch. He walks back into lane. Cooldown boots first for Sky, so he'll be maximizing his uptime. Nice magical journey through the wall, right out of the base. So far, we talked about Jack and Expression being very dominant laners when it comes to farm. They not taking that same advantage that we typically see them grab in the early game, at least not so far.
Oh yeah, Ontara is surprisingly CSing very well against this Poppy early game.
Mad Life back out on the roam. They know there's a pink ward in that brush, so he's going to try and clear it out, and he will be successful. Nice vision denial there from CJ Entus as Corky freezes closer to his turrets a little bit on the bottom side. Chaser now on the counter jungle. Already had some nice deep wards there. Going to throw in a couple more.
And not knowing Sky's whether if he's going to ult top or odd makes them play a little bit more passive than general. So
they're trying to hold back in the bottom lane, but as for this, they saw Mad Life clear out those wards alongside Elise on the bottom side of the river, which prompted Chaser just to walk into the enemy jungle and lay down a whole bunch of wards, including several wards that are able to CTF if he ults top side. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow Expression to play more aggressively. Chaser
2 levels above Bubbling right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely devastating. I mean, 37 to 25 CS. Bubbling wasted so much time in that bottom side, and now here comes the engagement. Blue buff just going to be stolen by Chaser, and he leaps away back to safety. Just great vision control and sensibility from Chaser's Nidalee. Trade right there.
And this is going to force Sky back. missing out his timing on that ult, and then this is what we talked about. We needed that early game pressure, but it's not coming from CJ's side. So as the game goes on, it looks worse and worse for CJ.
Yeah, he just doesn't have any combat stats either, so he can't really trade. As long as Coco drops the Chaos Storm on cooldown, it'll be easy for him to keep this TF pinned down and not able to actually provide any kind of kill, especially at 50% HP, but still too high to actually do anything with right now. Bubbling seen again on a ward. Man, Chaser has done just a great job of controlling Twisted Fate and controlling Bubbling and reacting in the early stages of this game. Bubbling trying to look for a red buff steal possibly here. Nautilus recalling. Sky feints up to the top side just to threaten the TP. Bubbling may be able to take this red buff out, but here comes Chaser, and he's going to get seen on the ward, and he think he knows Bubbling is there. Yes, he does. So Bubbling gonna get TP'd on right now. Bubbling here takes a spear, and there's the TP from TF. They're gonna try and get the kill on the Chaser, but Expression's already there. Nice knockup. Here comes Coco. He's gonna try and back off of this one. Coco moving forward, has no Chaos Storm. It's actually gonna be first blood for Bubbling on the Chaser. Everybody from CJ getting into the topside jungle. And if Coco had his ultimate up, that would have been entirely different.
Yeah, but great was it ult used by Sky right there, and TP matched at the same time, so they really, Chaser had no way to get out.
Well, he tried to go back in on the Bubbling, as you can see right here. He activates the Grunts, but Mad Life just shows up right at the end to make the play and get the kill.
And great ult in the end too, just a great disengage in general. Mad Life shows great proficiency in Bard.
Well, it's been Mad Life, we said it before, carrying this team. There's a reason why he has the highest kill contribution rate, but in spite of that first blood, we still remain even in gold. And a lot of that's thanks to Chaser's just superior farming this game.
Sky going for the Catalyst for the roll-off.
Wow, that is, we do see that on Twisted Fate, and he probably does actually need that to survive the Victor and the damage he's taken, because if he has the Catalyst in lane, he should be able to use the health and mana regen to try and keep himself topped up if Coco tries to drop his Chaos Storm on cooldown to chunk him out.
Bot lane relatively even despite the pressure that Bubbling put up.
And making it work. Wow, I can't believe Chaser's won this game. He has just been tearing through the jungle. 20 CS up here at 10 minutes. That is a huge amount when it comes to CS. And he's just keeping on moving through. Gets his swamp right now. His lane's holding their own.
So moving down to the bottom side.
He was seen in his own jungle, so just going to recall the Tri-Brush, not choosing to go for a lane gank. It should be just a conservative play, but Sky did help get a kill on the first TF ultimate of the game, but it hasn't actually netted them any kind of advantage.
Yeah, and if he decides to ult top lane at this point, I don't think he'll get a kill against Expression. He's becoming a tankier and tankier as the game goes on, so that limits his option to bot lane. And when you become one-dimensional like that, it's very easy to pick out what he's gonna do.
Well, even in bot lane, Pure has such good disengage. They have all their summoners available. It seems unlikely they'd be able to convert on that without a really good Tempered Fate from Mad Life. Back to counter jungling. That has been Chaser's specialty so far, trying to starve out Bubbling as much as he can. And taking those Raptors away too, going to starve him out of vision control, considering he won't have the buff to clear. Mad Life is knocked up by the pillar, but easily out of there with Magical Journey.
Great name for a skill though.
The best name.
Best.
What's the, do you know the name in Korean? The Korean casters tell me that the Magical Journey name in Korean is nowhere near as funny as the name in English. So
I'm glad I don't know that.
They use the Magical Journey because it's much more amusing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We'll ask him after the game. Apparently it's quite boring in Korean.
No one can top Ash
Wow.
Barrett though.
Oh, stealer from Chaser. Bubbling gets caught out, and there's the Death Ray. One more spear should do it. Chaos Storm is dropped early, but hello, Expression. Knockback straight into the ranged auto for the kill. And that's been Bubbling this season.
Yeah, Bubbling was trying to do the same thing, with trying to go into the opposite jungle without any vision, and he got out there luckily last time with the help from Madlight, but this time there was no one else to help.
And notice the difference between CJ and Longzhu too. When we saw Chaser go get those Raptors, who was there with him? It was Coco laying down the Death Ray, supporting him, and making sure he was okay. They had no pressure this time, so without TF there, they had the TF ultimate, but Coco was faster to respond, so this has been the problem with Bubbling, is that he just doesn't know the right times to pressure, and he ends up getting out-jungled by his opponents as a result.
Yeah, last time he invaded, he also was trying to invade when Intara was backing. That was also a big point that I noticed.
Yeah, definitely an issue with the communication. Bot lane still continuing to perform well. Kramer and Madlife starting to run away with the farm lead.
Bubbling level 8 at this point, Chaser level 10, so keeping that 2-level advantage.
Here comes Chaser. Blocked off a little bit right there by the Pillar of Ice. They're going to try and make a play. TP coming into the enemy jungle. Madlife with the Magical Journey. They may have to just settle for the Dragon right here. Sky going to get it. There's the depth chart. Chaser's got a flash, and there's a Tempered Fate. Coco right into the cocoon, and he will just cleanse Flash instantly. But the fight's not over yet. Pure has got them blocked off in a choke point. Pure is by himself, however. Indeed, he has to flash over the wall to escape. Expression now is TP2, so CJ just takes the journey right back out, but they're going to lose control over the mid lane. And here comes the pressure from Coco.
CJ has been trying to take this fight 5v5. 5-man was a gank every time, and it's been working out the first time. Second time, they had all their summoners up, so with that instant flash though.
Yeah, and Chaser once again taking advantage of every opportunity. He knows they backed off heading down to the bottom side of the river. They can't possibly be here in the jungle right now, even if they walked straight back and around. So he just, again, clears out Wolves, clears out Grom, and he's up 85 to 58 when it comes to that CS.
It's a limitation of this team, Kyle. Once they miss that opening, they can't really do much for next 2 minutes.
Yeah, they have to sit there, keep on farming. Bubbling is underpowered in comparison to his jungle opponent. You mentioned that level difference, but it's been a 2-level advantage for Chaser so far this entire game. Very troubling. Troubling for Bubbling.
Troubling for Bubbling. Bubble trouble.
It has been a season of bubble trouble. And I think that's the major concern for CJ, because you expect, first off, Kramer's actually been doing pretty well, and so who knows whether Ghost will start or not. And you look at Sky, and you're like, okay, this guy has some very distinct weaknesses in terms of his champion pool and his play, but you have hope for this mechanical god that is BDD, that he's going to make some waves when he finally becomes old enough to play. And you have to imagine that CJ is scrimming with him actively week to week. But the big issue is that there is no backup jungler, and Bubbling hasn't shown a large amount of improvement so far in this season.
I mean, like, jungle definitely is the hardest position to adapt between amateur and pro level, but what CJ needs right now is not a talent they can develop, because they got that in both mid and AD, so they need someone who has in-game knowledge like Madlife, assisting him with shot calling and team synergy, but that's not what they're getting from Bubbling.
I agree. CJ should rescue Cacao from the LSPL. That's what should happen. Hashtag save Cacao.
Save Cacao.
Yeah, Cacao.
Bubbling, I feel like, doesn't know where his jungle is.
No, and he's going to get collapsed on again here. Coco really dictating where they're going to be. They do get some decent deep boards in that time, and that was the major switch, is that Sky was actually there to help out his jungler and provide that necessary backup, and they had the pressure in the top side. So starting to show some upgrade here. Pure's going to knock Madlife.
Great magical journey.
Yeah, he's been on point, but you talk about Madlife, his 3 best champions are Alistar, Bard, and Thresh. Waiting for sky to make the next move. Meanwhile, Longzhu IM has been building up that lead.
Chaser 40 CS over the opposing jungler.
Just ridiculous. See, Chaser actually going for a Negatron cloak this time, and that is not a build we normally see.
So going for that Abyssal Scepter, probably?
Yeah, going for Abyssal Scepter. And what this means is because usually Nidalee is not going to be in range. If she's throwing max range spears, that's not going to be in range of Negatron cloak when it comes to its MR reduction. So what this means is Chaser is planning on going in Cougar form to maximize the efficiency of the item.
That's scary.
Basically, this is I'm going to kill you one-on-one. That's what Chaser's saying. He says, I am 2 levels above this Elise. As we see the gank coming in, Pure, they use that frozen domain and then back off, uses that pillar last. He was waiting to see whether Elise and TF were actually going to show up before he used that ability.
And if you look at CJ's comps, it's 5 AP technically. With Porky does a lot of AP magic damage, so
does more magic damage than anything else these days.
Yeah, so 5 APs just do a lot of MR, and I don't see how, with the lack of damage output they have already, I don't know how they're going to kill him in the late game.
Well, so far we don't see that MR coming out, except for the Negatron cloak, which is, again, another great point and a great reason for Chaser to go for an Abyssal Scepter in this game. But that means the onus is on Pure to actually build an Aegis, which will be, as you stated, a pretty big item when it comes to dealing with the damage from CJ Entus. And 5 AP is not a composition you want to have in the late game.
No, it's not.
Especially a 2 damage threat 5 AP. That's actually like a late game disaster composition right there, Justin.
It's like, this team is all inning on this early game, but we're already past early game at this point. In 20 minutes in this meta,
I agree. It does seem grim. You may look at this and say, what, there's only a 500 gold difference, but team compositions really matter. And there we go, packaging right across the top of the Dragon Pit.
it looked like a magical journey at one point.
Magical package, that's what I like to call it. Bad Life is on the front line here, does pop the Magical Journey, doesn't actually take it out. TF ult going to drive them backwards. Another TP, Tempered Fate, only going to hit Pure, especially coming around the backside of Tara here, trying to get in. Chaser now on the flank, throws a spear at Kramer, does manage to land it. Pure very low, Expression tying up 3 members of CJ, flashes forward to join the rest of the team. Nice knock-up. He is going to die though, and in the end, no kills for Longzhu as Expression got in the back line, but there just wasn't a follow-up from the rest of his teammates really on the front side. They're still going to try and get this turret. Captain Jack at full HP. It should be easy.
So like a little bit of a trade there. Seems like Pure was the one that was going to go down, but Expression coming from behind. Took a lot of time though.
And Kramer will trade 1 for 1, but that mid-lane turret worth infinitely more. It was a bit of a sloppy engage there from Longzhu. Expression easily collapsed on. And may have just actually been better wrapping around to form a front line with the rest of his team instead of going for that flank. Has his Sheen now, so at least he'll be dealing a little bit more damage. So Nautilus also going for the Sheen. So we're going to see 2 Iceborne Gauntlets in this game. We did not see the Iceborne Gauntlet on Hippo's Nautilus in game number 1. That's actually quite odd considering Nautilus is very low attack speed.
Yeah.
But good for wave clear.
Nautilus top usually tends to take that 15% attack speed runes.
That's true.
With AP.
So we'll have that, but long cooldowns on Nautilus's abilities, so you're not really going to get that many Iceborne procs over the course of a fight. Back eyes on the dragon once again for Longzhu. They can set up and take number 2 here.
A lot of vision control coming down here.
CJ to find him, chunks out Pure immediately. Lots of damage from the Gorky Bard combination. Has to use the Summoner, nope, not the Summoner heal, just the heal from Chaser there to help him survive long enough. They had to use the Trundle ultimate to disengage from that situation. That's one pretty crucial ultimate not going to be available to them. They want to force Coco back to his turret with this Nautilus. Nautilus with no TP, Expression without one either. CJ really wants to clear out these wards and attempt to get their first dragon of the game.
Both teleports not available.
Nothing there.
So one of them has to come down.
Just playing around the waves. And you can see how these professional teams do that. For example, you saw the Nautilus fade down into the bottom side of the map once the wave was pushed up, and that meant that his entire team could play more aggressively around Vision in the bottom river. And as soon as he comes up, everybody just melts away out of that position. Pure gets a bit chunked there. Coco has to pop his Frost Queen's Claim.
If they know Chaser is in the top side, they might be going for the drop, but
every time Chaser sees where Bubbling is, he takes something. He punishes him in some way. And it's very bold to do this. But with the knowledge of where Chaser is after seeing him on that ward, they are going to punish in turn and take their first dragon. So evening up that objective score is CJ, who is playing the map much better tonight than we've seen them previously. They're at least responding and taking away a blue buff of their own as Captain Jack tries to get the culling down, but not much to be gained.
And Kramer has been running away with the CS lead, now about 30 at this point, and that's pretty huge.
Yeah, 50 so far for Chaser. 141 jungle CS
I guess
in
that's
24
bigger,
minutes. That is absolutely brutal.
Take this mid lane turret.
But there's a victor, so that just isn't going to happen. All right.
Expression might be able to take this turret.
Yeah, he will be. Has the Sheen. No response from the Nautilus unless he wanted to TP much earlier. And there it is. One more turret down in favor of Longzhu. Chaser here discouraging a follow-up from Antara, but they won't turn. He's just there to counter gank in case his buddy needs some help from the lane, because they have the top side of the jungle completely warded, so no chance of a gank from Bubbling coming there. Just a very nice ring of wards.
And with the lane phase practically over, I don't know what Sky's going to be able to do at this point other than maybe split push, but he did not go Lich Bane.
Well, especially with the mid tower down. I mean, he has to overextend to actually TP right now. If he's at his tier 2, he really can't use his ultimate very effectively. They're going to go down right now, try and dive, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to get a nice Tempered Fate onto the turret so they can just walk right past with no minion wave. Madlife takes it on the way out. Great setup on the play there from Madlife.
Madlife has been on point with this Bard this entire game, and that's what's been pushing this team, you know, to the snowball that they need to have to win this game, making Sky's ult, you know, very useful.
It's really incredible how hard Madlife carries this current CJ roster. And with that kill, they're going to get some time with the mid turret too. Everything coming back around for CJ as they make the play in the bottom lane around the Tempered Fate. And no one expects you to dive them when there's no minion wave this early in the game, but with the Tempered Fate, you can really make those plays work, and great synergy between the Bard and TF.
Still 1K down in gold though.
Well, for how much longer though, Justin? I have a feeling we'll be right back even. Turret goes down. There we go, dead even.
Dead even.
Taking that out. CJ looks so much better in this game than they have previously. And we saw the target bans against Madlife, but on his third string pick, he's still able to set up for his allies.
And that changes stories for pick and bans in the next game, because if you're target banning the opposing laner on 2 champions and he's still showing up well on the 3rd champion, then you can't really target ban.
Wow, Madlife comes through. They're going to try and go aggressive on this play. Kramer wants to get it. There's the kill with the rocket. Chaser couldn't get there in time with the heal, it looked like. And that was it. Madlife set down a ward, it looked like, right after he got out of that magical journey. So, looks like he's trying to delay any kind of aggression from Captain Jack and Pure, or punish perhaps an attack move.
Captain Jack did not want to play the game.
Yeah, he did not. got ignited. I'm surprised Mad Life was so bold as to take that magical journey right into the opponent. But he is absolutely wrecking that lane, and Kramer just doing a solid job of following up from Mad Life's engages.
Yeah, and all Bubbling needs to do at this point is become a cocoon shuttle. Basically, just cocoon, cocoon, cocoon.
That's the setup, and it's easy to hit cocoons when there's a gold card first. So it doesn't even have to...
Or Bard ult.
Or Bard ult. He hit a nice one of those earlier. Coco has to be careful while walking into this choke. Mad Life's ultimate available. There we go, back into the mid lane. Trying to make sure they can retain their mid lane turret. That is the big advantage that Longzhu has at the moment.
And with this advantage, Sky can actually split push with that Lich Bane now being bought as a third core item. Pretty tanky too with the Roa and Abyssal Scepter.
He needs the mid lane turret to go down before he split pushes though, because he doesn't have TP, he just has his ultimate, the gate. And he needs to make sure that he can actually reach other lanes if he is going to be the designated split pusher.
And that's why they've been trying to pressure that mid lane for such a long time, but with that lane clear from Victor, it's not very effective at this point.
Victor makes it quite challenging. So Chaser actually going for his own Rylai's Scepter, so double Rylai's here from Longzhu. Getting just that bit more survivability, since we didn't see Chaser go for the typical Rod of Ages. So MR and HB, they are building against this 5 AP composition. And now the Aegis is done, so in any group team fight from this point forward, Longzhu Gaming should have a pretty distinct advantage when it comes to the single damage type across the board from CJ.
Teamfight's going to be harder and harder as the game goes on for this CJ team. That's why they're trying to go for this pick, but
really want it. Looking to Valk out, forces Coco's flash. Expression now has to get hooked into this. Chaser trying to follow this one up. There's Captain Jack with the culling, and there's the Pillar of Ice cast on the flank just to make sure CJ can't re-engage that or dive under the turret. Still, Longzhu takes a lot of damage from the poke.
They really want this mid lane turret gone, but there's Longzhu's not making it easy, so they're just opting for the dragon at this point.
Longzhu still looking for some poke here, dodging the wild cards as they stiff around the dragon pit. Easy dragon though. There's a hook onto Pure actually, and they're just gonna have to let him die.
Max range.
Great hook from Muntara. Absorbs the death ray with his Banshee's Veil. So Pure a little bit too far forward, and the hook straight into the gold card. Sky actually flashed gold card at that to continue the CC long enough. Longzhu playing the CS game just a little bit better, but, well, not in the bottom lane at least. Kramer getting quite scary. But they just can't keep up the pressure, and every time they seem to lose these fights by a little bit of mispositioning on the engages, whether it was Expression on the TP or Pure being too far forward.
This mid lane turret's still not gone though.
Well, that's the big key, right? This is what is holding Longzhu together at this point. They need to maintain this and just keep scaling, because in the late game, they will have a distinct advantage.
Yep.
QSS now into Captain Jack. He doesn't have cleanse like Coco does. Finally decides there's enough scary single target CC that this is going to be a necessity, whether it's Cocoon or Cosmic Binding or Nautilus auto attack or a gold card. He is a prime target.
Moving on to that top side turret right now. Kramer pushing it in, and jungle and the support moving up.
This is so much better than what we've seen. Uh-oh, Chaser has a lot of damage. Nice, forced actually the TF ultimate out. That's a big, big win for Longzhu. He's gonna TP right there, and Lichbane Rocket. That life joining him via Magical Tourney. CJ has completely overrun the top side of the jungle from Longzhu Gaming.
Such a high CS game in general.
Huge numbers being put up, well over 10 CS a minute for a couple of our players. And now, Tar and Expression going head to head. And there's the package. Kramer going to arrive. Special delivery, but there's the disengage with the ultimate and the flash. They might still catch it. 5 men down from CJ in the bottom. Cosmic binding into the kill. Whoa, what a tempered fade. 3-man, absolutely incredible. But they just don't have the follow-up. Exhaust down onto Kramer. Pure is going to survive thanks to a heal from Chaser.
So hard to hit that Bartle, but Mad Life is hitting it like it's a target skill.
Yeah, super big. It looked very easy. Creative use. We've seen it on turrets for dives. We've seen it on champions now. Jack disengages from that. You see him on the screen, but it's a big problem. Package use right here. They get onto Expression. Nice knock-up, but the follow-up knock-up just eliminates the flash from use effectively. Chaser was trying to heal up his ally on the retreat, but that is just a fantastic tempered fate. Poor communication, because Bubbling actually, had Bubbling not used his cocoon at the start of that fight, they could have actually followed up and gotten another kill. So Bubbling and Mad Life not on the same page, but they still managed to push forward and get 1 kill at the very least.
Though CJ seem to be lacking in jungle communication, they've been on point of the 5-man communication, just collapsing on individuals that's trying to push out the lanes.
Yeah, you never take that cocoon if you know the Bard ult is coming in. You need to save it so you can actually create a kill at the end of that, which is the failure that we saw there from CJ, but it was very, very close.
CJ currently utilizing this pick-on very well, getting 6 kills.
Well, 6 kills in 34 minutes.
It's better than what they've been doing.
It's better. And they are still ahead in this game, and they still do have a chance to win if they can continuously get picks and eventually just transition into a Baron. We're getting to the point here where death timers are long enough that even with the low damage composition like CJ's, that becomes a possibility.
The story of this game should be this mid lane turret, though 34 minutes and still not down.
Well, that's been a factor of the new season. 2016 is the year of mid lane turrets not dying. Too much wave clear to really make that effective. And with turrets kind of being the most important objectives in the game at the moment, players will double down extra hard on keeping them safe. This may be finally the push that they need. Kramer has taken a blue elixir early on just to max out his damage here.
Yeah, they know they are on a time limit for this game, so try to put up pressure as much as possible.
I really like the warding that they've managed to do in this top side consistently. Longzhu has not had an answer to clear out these wards. They're going to try and force a bad ward, but that's not going to work. They're just going to go for the Baron in the end.
They have no vision.
They don't have the vision, and they don't have a blue trinket either to try and see this. They're going to have to face check it. Uh-oh, CJ going to get the Baron and then TP. Wow, that was a great TP bait, by the way.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that was smart from Untara. I assume that was intentional, Justin, but by TPing there where they knew they didn't have vision, it looked like CJ was going to be coming out to try and create another pick, but instead they were just trying to finish the Baron and buy themselves time, but that caused Longzhu to briefly back off.
Great zoning TP.
Yeah, well, that's a very unusual phrase that you don't hear very often, but it was definitely a nice zoning teleport.
That's what I say in solo queue when I cancel teleport. That was like zoning.
And now the split push really rolling here.
And then they're going to be able to take that military with this Baron buff too, so a lot of advantages coming on CG's way. They seem like a completely different team.
Yeah, that's exactly what they needed too. Third Dragon also going in CJ's favor, so this game from CJ has been night and day difference from what we've seen in the past. Finally managing to grab some advantages, and they are on the verge of winning this first game. They've got one good team fight, and then they can take it. Coco's recall delayed.
Kramer's huge with the 400 CS and the 2 kills.
He's doing work, picking himself up a Hex Drinker too. Trying to deal with the poke damage from Chaser and from Coco. There you go, 7,000 gold lead now for CJ as they take down 2 of the tier 2s in the outer lanes. They have 1 more to go, and with that Lich Bane, they're making it work. Kramer's still trying to split push. as Captain Jack just has to back off. Kramer hits him for an immense amount of damage.
Both tier 2 turrets gone on top side and bottom side.
It's a recall. Kramer grabs the package.
Magical package.
Magical package. He's been taking his magical package on quite a few journeys. Siege continuing here. CJ can take down 4 turrets on this Baron. It'll be just massive. Sky gonna get caught out. Expression now comes in. Tempered Fate. Nice disengage from Mad Life. Chaos Storm was dropped. They will keep their tier 2 alive, but they don't actually get the engage they were looking for.
Those Bard ults though.
It's been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic from Mad Life.
And then Tara showing this is how you play Nautilus top.
With Iceborne Gauntlet, apparently.
Yes. That's the only difference.
That's what we're learning. That's what we're learning. But realistically, I think this is a pick they had prepared into the Poppy, and they are making it work.
Too tanky to kill. Can't split push. All the tier 2 turrets are gone now, so now they can snowball this into any sort of objective that they might want in the later game.
We're starting to prepare for that. Longzhu Gaming really on the ropes with this level of deficit and with how fed this Corki is. They're pretty much going to have to wait here for 6 items across the board, and then they should be competitive. Jack still taking a lot of poke damage, and without any kind of lifesteal so far to back it up. Of course, once he gets that Mercurial Scimitar, he will start to build into that stat, and that will be invaluable for canceling out some of these trades with Kramer.
Locking that spear out.
So CJ, a few options right now. Baron is going to be coming up alongside Dragon in just a couple minutes. They have a strong chance to go ahead and bait that objective, try and play for that. They're going to try and zone out right now. They force the flash from Kogo with the Tempered Fate, and they're just going to face tank this turret. Especially comes in, but Intara is very tanky. He's going to knock Intara up, but this Nautilus is just too big in the front line. He's going to live through all of that. Pure comes in with the pillar. They're still trying to get somebody. Sky has to flash over the Pillar of Ice, especially going to back. Now he has a chance to actually TP here, but there's no targets on the opposite side of the map for him to go to. So another engage just stuffed by CJ. Very nice kiting.
Yeah, Mad Life, without his Olga, he knew he could just tank the turret. He didn't have any more usage in the team fight other than that afterwards, so he just backs out. Nautilus too tanky to kill at this point in the game. Live safely.
Picks up another Negatron Cloak. Still concerned about that magic damage burst from Victor. And you take a look at that. So the Kogo flash Mad Life's ult, so they decide it's go time here. But all of that damage onto Antara, they don't even try for a flank either. Now note that Expression does have his TP, and they could have teleported to a ward, but instead they don't make that decision and try to engage head on, and I just don't think that's going to work.
So much disengage from this team with the picks that they have, so.
Yeah, and also a team with TF and Corki just built for kiting. Especially needs to make that play. They're going to catch Bubbling out, however. Kramer
is here.
There's the ultimate coming down from TF. That is not a good ult, but the Twisted, the Temper Faded follow-up is decent. They're going to dodge the Poppy ult in the corridor. Antara basically taking no damage.
TP being used by Antara, so Expression does have that advantage at this point. I don't think it's going to do much with them just being pushed to the turrets like that. They could go for the TP engage again if they see an opening.
Absolutely. But it's a matter of getting down those wards. They have no wards on the top side, so if CJ decides to siege on this part of the map, they will not have that same TP option. They're trying to set up a pick once again. But no one's going to actually walk through that part of the jungle. Inhibitor is open in the middle of the map. CJ Entus has a chance to try and rush that, but
they could wait for the Baron.
Longzhu just checking brushes right there with the Pillar of Ice. Flash Cocoon, oh! That's a heartbreaker. Coco had cleanse up though, so that probably wasn't going to work anyway. That's actually just a bad play.
Zoning cocoon.
Zoning flash cocoon.
Zoning flash cocoon.
And Coco's definitely not the one you want to go for on that.
With that cleanse up, could have just cleansed out immediately.
Yeah, minimum you're making a bad summer trade right there, unless Coco like forgets how to press the.
Kramer alone here. Could just Valkyrie out, I guess.
They also got the crab. They happen to be on their side of the river, so Longzhu gonna walk over. Now they have to use Destiny to go to Dragon, actually. And that's might mean a Baron, actually. They know that the Destiny is down. They can just force a Baron right now.
Sky quickly walking up.
Whoops. That's not how you want to use CF's ult. So they're gonna try and go for it. They want to bait this fight. Still burning down the Baron. Captain Jack is taking a lot of damage already. Untara going to come in with a hook, and now Captain Jack trying to deal that damage. They're going to turn, especially gets the stun into the wall. Untara gets stunned into the gravity field. After that, they finally kill Nautilus. Expression is low, though. Where's the follow-up? Looks like there won't be one. Madlife used his ult somewhere. I didn't actually see where that landed. Sky now going to try and split push. They're trying to delay. This is a bold call. It might cost them the Baron, actually. They might just trade in him for the Baron.
Expression back, but he does have TP.
Exactly. So he went back, and now he's going to TP right back into the thick of things, and they're just going to take the Baron. Oh, man. So here's an attempt. Bubbling may try and steal this, but he's going to get knocked into outer space. Italy secures the Baron after that, and Longzhu is going to flash over the back of the pit to make sure they can get away. 2 flashes used, Coco and Expression, but they get Baron on all 5 members, and wow, that was a big mistake by Sky.
One bad move, and this is what it turns into, a Baron, and he knows it himself.
Yeah, he definitely knows that. I can understand that they wanted to use the Destiny to see where people were, but to immediately take the gate to the opposite side of the map as the Baron just gave Longzhu everything they wanted. Disappointing, but you know, it's been a pretty good game out of CJ so far, but that mistake, something you really can't do. As we take a look at this fight once again, it looks like Captain Jack, nice cocoon in the back of the pit, but Bubbling is just deleted from the team fight. Good ult there from Expression to secure the objective. So the tables have turned. Second Baron of the game goes to Longzhu Gaming, and they're starting to catch up when it comes to gold. They just need to crack this base. They've had that inhibitor open on their side of the map, but no one has actually been able to take it.
Expression just as tanky as this Nautilus, so they can do exactly the same thing that CJ has been doing. Poking and then disengage and poke and disengage.
Just not able to do much with this wave. They're going to have to transition into a tier 2. They're waiting for that big wave to hit the top side. And they just don't have any split push right now without TP. They have TP disadvantage and TFS ult up, so there's no way they can actually move Expression into a side lane by himself.
Yeah, so a better choice would be here too.
So there's the Tempered Fate. He's going to be disengaged immediately by the Pillar of Ice. And they're going to front load the Culling, get some poke down, but this is a huge minion wave. It should be an easy turret with the zone that Longzhu has.
CJ trying to look for an opening, but they're playing so far out back.
Well, they're doing a good job of keeping Captain Jack from autoing this thing. But there we go. Finally going to remove the last cannon minion, so they actually managed to save it for another wave. Well done by CJ. They're keeping themselves alive here, sort of against all odds. It's amazing that with Gravity Field and with the Pillar of Ice, they're able to defend turrets this well.
Another wave coming here.
How much of that is going to melt before it hits the tower? Another cannon minion is the only thing left. Kramer's going to face tank that while they try and put that damage on. There it goes.
Chaser's poke not really connecting other than to the tanky Nautilus.
Yeah, really not going to be too effective. He's laid down a huge line of traps. They're going to try once more, but CJ has really wasted a lot of this Baron buff. Nicely done. Oh, so Tara there.
They're going to protect it again.
I'm actually really surprised, Justin, that Expression did not use his ult just to remove them, just get them off the turret, because now they don't even get it.
almost wasted.
Yeah, now they're not going to have too much to do in terms of contesting the 5th Dragon too. Remember, CJ is going to be on the cusp of that in just a couple of minutes, and that's probably where this game is going to end one way or another.
47 minutes into the game. It's a one team fight that's going to take it all at this point. The death timers being so high.
Everybody filtering back down to the bottom side. They have a chance, Longzhu, to take the blue buff, but no more Baron buff for them. They got virtually nothing out of that.
Other than the mid lane tier 2 turret, didn't get anything.
Yeah, Crucibles on both of our supports now, naturally, given that the single target CC, especially from CJ, is pretty intense. Void Staff now picked up, though, for Chaser. This might be the item he needs in conjunction with Death Cap to actually start doing damage on the Pope.
Chaser needs to hit that spear on either Kramer or Sky, or even Mad Life, just to back them off, but so far it's only been hitting the tanky top laner.
Or the jungler here with the Banshee's Veil, so it's not going to be particularly helpful either. Zara still there, also going to absorb it with a shield, and it's back to wave clear. There's no turret here, but CJ doesn't really want to be coming through this choke point, because if they walk in there, Pure can just use the Pillar of Ice, and the gravity field can come through from Victor and divide the team immediately.
Yeah, so it's definitely just like a game of chicken. Who's going to go in?
I think that no one's going to go in, and we're going to go to the 5th Dragon fight. I think we should just fast forward to that, Justin.
Mad Life always has that Bartle surprise factor.
Don't you love Poke Wars?
Isn't this your best type of war?
Poke War?
Yeah, isn't that your favorite?
No. Dancing back and forth and shooting Corky Rockets is definitely not my favorite, Justin.
0 kill, 0 death game.
Yes,
Poke.
but I like it decisive, not 50 minutes. You have to snowball every... Oh, here comes the TP. They're finally doing it. They're finally pulling the trigger. CJ's going to have to react to this. Expression coming around the side. Here he goes. He's going to knock C... Oh, he gets bubbling in a target. Those are not the targets he wanted. And that is a big, big tempered fate for the disengage. They're still trying to bottle up Sky, but Sky has the magical journey right there. Gets Chaos Storm on his face. Still escapes, even though he splits off from the other members of CJ.
I really did not
Why did
understand.
Expression go on their tank line? That is exactly the opposite of what you want to do in that
He could have
situation.
dashed into anyone at that point. He had a perfect positioning on all of their damage dealers.
Wow, you tangle them up and then you try and burst down their front line. That's how you play that. Poppy should be all over Kramer and Sky if possible. And here comes Dragon number 5. We're going to see it attempted one more time. They've been separated now by a nice Trundle Pillar, but that's going to be it. They get Dragon number 5, but can they survive? Ventura's already down. Expression going to have to flash out of this fight. And they're still backing off Captain Jack. Solo Summoner Heal is going to save him. Mad Life coming through, and the Magical Dirty has a flash immediately on the other side. Coco low, and there you go. There's the finisher from Kramer. 1 for 1, the trade. But with this poke opposition, Bubbling still going to try and make a play from around the side. Bubbling is going to die on a questionable engage, and now Expression's still on the front line. He's going to get his ultimate off, and Kramer is just cleaning him up alongside Sky. Triple kill Quadra there from Kramer, and that is going to be a win from CJ at the 5th Dragon as they push through. CJ Entus finally making it work and taking a win here against Longzhu Gaming.
Yeah, Bubbling sacrificing his life so Kramer has enough time to Valkyrie in and kill everyone at that point.
Kramer building around him works again. We saw him take a year in Taiwan on the Flash Wolves, comes back to Korea, and when CJ wins, it's him carrying. Very nicely done. Much better TF. You were right, Justin, from Sky. That game, and especially Mad Life. What incredible Bard play to enable what we saw happen.
Yeah, Bard, you know, Mad Life on Bard is true carry of this game, making those picks happen on top side early and on the mid and bottom. Just keep transitioning.
Yeah, I love that Temper Fate dive too with the help of the Twisted Fate. Very nice play set up there. from CJ Entus. Mad Life comes out of this one with 10 out of 11 kill contributions, 0-0 and 10. And that's going to keep him right there in first place in terms of kill contribution. He does it again.
Whopping 91% kill contribution.
Yeah, it's actually raising his kill contribution, surprisingly enough. Mad Life's been it. They tried to ban him out, but he comes through with the Bard, has a big, big game. And his team manages to take a long win there. Kramer does a very good job of farming himself into an advantage. So CJ Entus maybe looking to turn things around just a little bit sooner than we might have thought. Taking these guys for maybe a revitalization with their new players, but that was probably their best performance of the season.
Yeah, and it feels different